Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. I am your host Gershwan, and today we're going to be talking about the Necrons, specifically the Silent King's ultimate plan for the galaxy. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We post Warhammer 40K lore videos every single day. If you have any suggestions, please let me know in the comment section below. And if you enjoy our content, thank our patrons on Patreon. It is because of them that we can do this. Link in the description if you guys want to support us. Now, I tried to make this as detailed, but also as simple for most people to understand. This is a plan or a scheme that the Silent King has been creating for eons, but more specifically multiple campaigns within what Games Workshop has been posting for the past couple years. So I'm going to try to give you a full explanation of what their ultimate plan is and how they are actually obtaining it. It's pretty cool because it also introduces and explains why the Ultramarines are fighting the Necrons, why Xeric existed, and all that kind of cool stuff. So with that said, let's get into 40 facts on the Silent King's ultimate plan. Across the galaxy, a fresh conflict is coming to a head between man and alien, or rather between factions that once laid claim to those terms, but have since become entities far stranger and more deadlier than any of flesh and blood. The holdings of the Adeptus Mechanicus are of the utmost importance to the future of humanity. The priesthood of the cult Mechanicus Forge maintains and sanctifies all of the weapons and war machines used by the Imperium's armies. Without their carefully marshaled knowledge and devastating firepower, the colossal edifice that is mankind's realm would soon fall to the countless enemies. Yet the Adeptus Mechanicus remains apart from the teeming masses of humanity, inhabiting sovereign planets known as Forge Worlds. These autonomous planets are hives of repetitive industry, choked with pollutants and encrusted with rockcrete and metal. They form the empire within an empire, a sprawling web of adamantium reinforced with dogma and arcane data. The cyborg lords of the Mechanicus do not share their knowledge with the unaltered humans they see as lesser beings, creatures still afflicted with the weakness of the flesh and the emotions of the heart, but they hoard each data as a dragon covets his gold. Similarly, the Adeptus Mechanicus jealously protects the worlds that make up their empire. During the founding times, where the conquerors and lords of the Imperium sought the largest and most strategically vital planets from those that could support life, the tech priest of the machine god sought worlds with the most bountiful resources, be that mineral wealth, ore-rich substrates, geothermic powers, or even rarer and more exotic assets. Unfortunately, they were not the first to recognize the potential of those worlds. One of the arcane materials that the Adeptus Mechanicus sought to make use of was a substance known as Noctilith, more commonly referred to its low Gothic form as blackstone. Its value has remained unknown throughout the Imperial history, and only at the closing of the 41st millennium is its importance truly becoming clear. Perhaps if the tech priest of Mars had come to understand its significance earlier, the coming of the Great Rift could have been prevented, and the galaxy kept from plunging further into utter calamity. Blackstone is mined from smooth dark rock, similar to obsidian or onyx in appearance. It registers all manner of peculiarities when surveyed by omnispecs or prognos waves, and has baffled every cryptogeologist that has ever examined it. The substance is found only on certain mineral-rich planets across the galaxy, though a close correlation has been found between the worlds settled by the Mechanicum, the forefathers of the Adeptus Mechanicus, and the quarry worlds upon which the mineral is present. Some of these worlds have clearly been mined specifically for this substance, or possibly had large monoliths of black stone conveyed to their surface and installed there by forgotten agents from before the dawn of recorded history. Cadia was perhaps the most famous of the worlds where blackstone was found in great measure. Before its fall, the fortress world's wastelands were dotted with hundreds of pylons that had their lower portions buried below ground and their upper areas jutting upwards towards the skies. The Cadian pylons had strange circular holes, and others smooth apertures that led to a complex maze of tunnels within them. The wind of the Cadian moorlands whistled eerily through them, producing strange harmonics that set the mind on edge. Whenever the Adeptus Mechanicus sent tiny probe servitors to investigate and chart these tunnels, they would come out glitching and disoriented, if at all. Just as the forces of chaos were preparing to invade the Cadian Gate in great numbers than ever before, Archmagos Belisarius Call of Mars theorized there was a connection between the presence of these structures and the targets of Abaddon the Despoiler's strikes against the Imperium, the Black Crusades that had scarred history across 10 long millennia. It was his belief that some property of blackstone, when treated and shaped correctly, reinforced the material universe, bracing it against the energies of chaos. Blackstone structures could hold back the etheric energies that spilled through whenever an untrained psyker was possessed by a demon, or that poured out in great system-wrecking catalysms from the warp storm that plagued the heavens. Call's leap of logic was a turning point for the agenda of the Martian tech priest. The discovery was profound. Blackstone structures could prevent empiric manifestations before they could even occur, or in other worlds, hold back the tides of the demons that sought to tear through the fabric of reality. Since that day, the Archmagos has obsessively sent their agents across the galaxy to retrieve as many Noctilith structures as possible. However, there is another force in the galaxy that seeks to make use of this strange natural resource, working the stone and amplifying its inherent aura to the point it becomes a powerful shield against the forces of chaos. The once slumbering Necron tomb worlds, gradually awakening in the latter part of the 41st millennium, are now populated with serried ranks of soldiers, as billions of undying warriors are awakened by canoptic constructs that have kept long vigil over them. The conquests the Necrons are embarking upon are merciless and terrifyingly efficient. In every segmentum, they are burning away the life from their sovereign domain with the dispassion of an extermination servitor burning vermin from a dockyard. No random attacks are these, but carefully planned strikes against the foundation of the Adeptus Mechanicus galactic empire. But the true intentions of the Necrons and how they intend to use the Blackstone has finally been revealed in the current 42nd millennium in a region of space known as the Pariah Nexus. Some electric force radiates from the benighted system to sever real space from the warp. It stretches like a shroud of crawling unease that settles across many worlds. Those planets engulfed are swiftly rendered stilled. One by one, living minds are smothered and souls snuffed out like guttering candle flames. Warp travel within the Nexus is massively curtailed, with navigators reaching desperately for the immateric currents that they can barely sense, and ships suffer catastrophic malfunctions as they attempt to force their way through the Nexus' entangled shroud. Astropathic communication is strangled. Only faith seems to stave off the threat, and even then, it is only temporary. The relentless expansion of the Pariah Nexus is the work of the Necrons. The ancient android-bodied Xenos are enacting the first steps of a plan's eons in the making. Driven by Zarek, last of the Silent Kings, with an uneasy alliance of the ancient conclave of cryptex known as the Technomandrites, Zarek is attempting to propagate a star-spanning weapon of such potency that it could end the threat of chaos altogether. To the Necrons, the Pariah Nexus is known as the contra-empiric matrix. It is a massive and complex web of blackstone pylons that are extinguishing anything connected to the warp. The Silent King chose Illuminor Xeres as the chief architect of this massive project. It is only the Illuminor that was mentally augmented by the Silent King because of his already incredible scientific brilliance who can truly understand the full scope of the contra-empiric matrix. Laid across the architecture of Zarek's incalculably powerful mind is a sizable swath of the galaxy. He perceives not only the material plane upon which his people exist, but also the energistic infinity that lies beyond it and to which all sentient biological beings are tethered. Xeres even observes the silken skin of the Old One's webway, stretched and tattered as it is. He does not see details. The Illuminor is not a true deity just yet. Still he perceives the impressions, hues, and subtle spectra and data aurora that reveals precious information. To fully take in this incredible wisdom and to find a way to eradicate the warp portals that ravage across the Necron's domain, the Illuminor has created an enormous spherical repository larger than any tomb ship. Inside of this magnificent stellar repository is a map. At its center hangs the blazing orb of the confluent sphere, its brilliance filtered by living metal cages that have grown to encompass it. Radiating out from this sphere, like the arms of some primitive oceanic predator, are the skins of energy that interlace through multiple dimensions, each unfolds smaller, yet still brightly blazing orbs of fire in the spheres that orbit around them. The energy skin ripples and flows. They are growing like living things, forming an interlocking web that connects via non-Euclidean linkages and entrap dozens of lesser nodes. This is a map formed from the mirroring particles entangled on a quantum level with their equivalent megastructures in real space. To put it simply, it is a massively miniaturized version of the Silent King's contra-empiric matrix that changes and reacts in real time to reflect what is occurring across the entire region of space. This is the Pariah Nexus. It is but the first system of the contra-empiric matrix that expands throughout the galaxy, as the Necrons use dolmen gates to duplicate and connect hundreds of these structures all throughout the Milky Way galaxy. Once and for all real space will be disconnected from the Imperium. That this massive change in the galaxy's fortunes would come at the cost of the soul death of every non-Necron lifeform is simply an additional boon for the Silent King's point of view. And at the heart of this colossally ambitious scheme lies the Blackstone pylons. Though Imperial military observers cannot be sure whether the pylons within the Pariah Nexus were excavated by the Necrons or dropped in from space, one thing is clear. Somehow, the obelisks are now channeling the energies of the caged Zendu star to generate a supernatural barrier between real space and the warp. The vast majority of the worlds within the Nexus are already considered lost, their human populations stilled. Some have been reduced to an eerie ghost world of sepulchral silence, while others have been transformed by continent-spanning Necron defense matrices into Xeno super fortresses. Imperial Crusade contingents still push into the silent system, with faith in their armor and in their sacrifice. Should they destroy the Necron's pylons, perhaps this spreading nightmare might be curtailed. Yet as the battles rage, more fiery and fresh Necron dynasties move to aid the Silent King, and the situation looks desperate for the Imperium. And those were 40 facts on the Silent King's ultimate plan. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is awesome because this basically starts a new chapter within the 42nd millennium, or within the Warhammer 40K universe. So you had the giant or the Great Rift all over the galaxy, and now you have a race that could actually close off the Great Rift. So now Chaos's ultimate threat doesn't really become the Imperium, it should be the Necrons, because the Necrons have the power, have the knowledge to basically disconnect themselves or disconnect the galaxy from the Imperium. So it's interesting to see what's going to happen in the future with all of the Chaos Space Marines and all of the demons and the Chaos Gods starting to realize that the Necrons exist, and they're basically trying to destroy them outright. And obviously, while they're destroying Chaos, they're inevitably killing the Eldar, the Orcs, the humanity. So the Necrons do become the ultimate threat. So it's going to be interesting to see how this progresses in later parts of the 40K lore, and how GW is going to progress the story. Because now the big interesting question is, within the Pariah Nexus, the Orcs have invaded. So what are the Orcs going to do if they start collecting this blackstone? Like, can the Orc Big Mechs actually use the blackstone? Also, where are the Eldar? Like, the Eldar are supposed to stand vigil so that these types of things don't happen. And where are they? And now the Necrons understand, not super detailed, but they understand the webway, so they can actually fight the Eldar way better than they did during the War in Heaven, because they have a full map basically of the webway and all of its structure. So the Necrons are really, once you understand this lore, the Necrons truly are the biggest enemy to just the galaxy in general. The only race that they don't really mess with is the Tyranids, because the Tyranids don't really have a connection to the warp. They have the shadow of the warp, but I wonder if the Pariah Nexus, or if the the Matrix is actually harming and basically stilling Tyranids. So that is yet to be seen. We'll see how Games Workshop incorporates the Tyranids and the Necrons. And if you guys have seen any articles on the Warhammer community page or anything like that, or have any knowledge of Tyranids versus Necrons, let me know in the comment section below, as pertaining to the current era, because obviously the Tyranids and the Necrons have fought in the past, but what's going on right now with the Silent King's secret plan and the Tyranids, because I thought the whole point of the Silent King returning was to deal with the Tyranids. So is it phase 1, get rid of Chaos, phase 2, deal with the Tyranids? But yeah, we'll see what happens. Thanks for listening, guys. Can't wait to talk to you guys in the comments section, and yeah, I'll talk to you tomorrow. This was Gershwan with One Mind Syndicate, signing out.
situation.